This is locked down for a reason. Team 10, stop what you're doing. I'm in a secret Russian museum and I found the real truth. They hid Peter the Great's face. The Tsar wasn't some pale European. He was a dark-skinned Moor running this government. The real Russian nobility, the Romanov line, is linked to the oldest Moorish families in Europe. They tried to paint over this history, but Russia never had the Renaissance. So the real structures and the truth are still here. The original nobility, the entire Romanov house, is linked directly to the oldest Moorish families in Europe. That means the real Russian Tsars were Moors who ran this government. And trust me, Putin knows this truth is hidden right here. This is Yeshua the way Russia kept him. Dark-skinned, 12th century Novgorod style. You see this exact look on Russian Orthodox broadcasts today. Europe repainted the West, but Russia never erased these faces. That's why their icons survived the Renaissance bleach job. This is Saint Elisban, King of Aksum, a real melanated emperor celebrated here in Russia since 1541. They didn't repaint him. They kept him as a dark-skinned king with an Ethiopian crown and a sword shaped like a cross. You can even read it right on the icon, Caleb Ethiopia. Listen, the official builder of the Kremlin was the Kazan Khan, a powerful Moor from the Tartarian Empire. But this construction wasn't possible with regular men. They suppressed the fact that monumental structures like this were built by giants. The Moors commanded these giants to perform the heavy labor. This is the ancient history they want to erase. This dude right here, Ivan Ganyabal, built the fortress of Kherson in 1779. Led Russian fleets in the Russo-Turkish War and became a general-in-chief of the Navy. You think Russia hides this because it's embarrassing? No, because it proves European aristocracy wasn't white. Meet Saint Iphigenia of Ethiopia, a Moorish empress and saint. Russian clergy recognized her in the 1600s and kept her iconography dark on purpose. If Russia wanted to erase black saints, they would have changed her face. Instead, they broadcast her feast day to this day. Yo. This is Abram Ganable, the guy Russian nobles spent centuries trying to erase. In 1742, he was officially recognized as hereditary nobility, given estates and his own elephant coat of arms. He wasn't a servant. He became the man elites answered to. Nadezhda Ganable, documented noblewoman in the late 1700s, not a myth, not a maid, but a Moor in full Russian aristocratic fashion. This was during Catherine the Great's reign, when up to 20 black courtiers served as elite symbols of royal power. They warned you to believe black nobility was rare. Of course, everyone and their mama knows my boy Saint Maurice, the Ethiopian Roman commander, and Russia called him that right on the page. If the Western smoofies painted him lighter, that's on them. Russia kept him black and kept the receipts. In Bosnia from 1991 to 90, that was calculated evil. It was an ethnic cleansing targeting the Gnostic Moorish people. They deliberately deleted the melanated element. It was a horrifying, terrible act that came straight from secret society.
Y'all say this is AI, but I'm telling you, it's all facts. They took out the Moorish Russians.
Okay?
No.
Eggs from 200 BCE, Greek soldier, javelin drawn, clearly melanated. Not a servant, not a myth. Ivan Van Sertima wrote about this and they came before Columbus. Art doesn't lie, he's depicted mid-battle. This is Roman Greece, 2nd century CE. You can see his cornrows, his skin tone. This isn't a caricature. Scholars like Runoko Rashidi documented these across Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. The empire was melanated before it was mythological.
The original Greeks were all black. End of story!
Go fucking study it. This Etruscan bust? It's from 600 BCE. Looks like Isaac Hayes. The original Latin and Greek-speaking founders look like this. It ain't Afrocentrism, it's archaeology. Ammon, documented by Herodotus in the 5th century BCE. Ammon was an African deity from Libya and Egypt. Early Zeus cults merged with him before classical Greece. These statues weren't white marble originally, they were painted dark. But you'll still say, nah bro, Greeks were white. The mosaic has a PhD in pigment. What do you have? A Wi-Fi signal and delusion. I'll cry. They think they started everything. Bro, relax. Evidence precedes ego. These mosaics weren't done in Photoshop. If that triggers you, maybe argue with the archaeology, not my vocal cords. Y'all scream AI every time you see black antiquity. Denial is not scholarship. This is Peloponnesian ethnogenesis carved in stone, not Photoshop. Nonsense. Meanwhile, original black god over here naming sources, showing receipts. Building with substance. That's how this tech was meant to be used. Long before Euripides romanticized Medea, Peloponnesian dynasties were ruled by matrilineal power. This sculpture, 5th century BCE, depicts a Moorish Corinthian queen. Corinthians, Ionian, Spartans, they descended from Canaanites, Hebrews, Danites after Jericho fell. That's in Golden Age of the Moor and early Phoenician migration records. These were black Asiatic. Greece wasn't even officially formed till 1971. Before that, this land was a crossroads of African Asiatic cultures. The European Greek myth is younger than your grandma.
The 2nd century mosaic retains the physiognomy of an earlier cultural memory. Mycenaean warriors whose Afro-Asiatic heritage seeded Peloponnesian ethnogenesis. The continuity is clear.
Zeus fragment, dated 5th century BCE, shows the Ammon horn. Early cults here merged Zeus with Amun from Kemet. Herodotus wrote about this in history. Book 2. These statues were painted black. Melancholy. 80. The Etruscan Moorish physio, foundational to early Hellenism. The Peloponnesian ethnogenesis, Moorish aesthetics and ritual codes. The denial is fucking laughable. Oh yeah, because it was Black Twitter that coined Aethiops, right? Not Herodotus, not Homer, not Pliny. These are Moorish Etruscans. Predating classical Greece, they established maritime governance. Weren't Greco-Roman inventions. Dodona was a Moorish stronghold of oracular science. The women here weren't Vestals, they were quantum linguists. Dark-skinned, divinely sanctioned, ethnogenetic conduits of divine will. This isn't a slave or servant, this is a Roman noble. J.A. Rogers documented this in Nature Knows No Color Line 1940. You're looking at Greco-Roman black nobility, not a tourist attraction. So the new cope is, they're using my voice to rewrite history. My guy, this isn't deepfake divination. I'm giving you receipts and sources. A lot of statues with darker pigments or Afro features, they're not destroyed, they're just not shown. Many are in underground storage rooms, not the main floor. Some museums have hundreds of pieces you'll never see behind glass.
Have you heard of the Moors? No? What if I told you that they are responsible for making Europe and America what they are today? Except they don't want you to know that. See, the Moors ruled most of the Iberian Peninsula for the 8th century, and they brought things like mathematics, sciences, architecture, agriculture, art, science, basically everything that we consider modern-day Europe. But that's supposed to be a secret. They are actually the ones that are responsible for bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages and into the Renaissance. But again, you're not supposed to know that. Meanwhile, while the Christian Europe had an illiteracy rate of 99% and 0 universities and 0 libraries, Moors, they had 17 universities in 7 cities and over 70 libraries. And then they introduced their education system to Europe. There was a man called Zuryab. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he was a Moor, and he actually pioneered changing clothes based on the season. That's how dumb Europeans were at the time. They didn't even... What? He also invented deodorant, daily bathing, and invented toothpaste. Like, no wonder the Black Plague destroyed Europe. They were filthy. Zuryab also introduced a 3-course meal. Soup, main course, dessert. And the Moors, they even introduced crops that are still prominent in Spain today. Moorish cities also had streetlights, hospitals, and running water. And streetlights and paved streets weren't even introduced in London and Paris for another couple hundred years. Moors are also the ones that built the aqueducts that brought running water from the mountains down to the cities, which gave Europe running water. The father of modern surgery was also a Moor, named Al-Zawrawi. Don't know if I'm saying that right either, I'm sorry. He developed innovative and precise surgical equipment and the premier textbook of Western medical training. Oh, and I bet you thought that the Wright brothers were the ones that are responsible for inventing flight. Nope. Fernaz, again, sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but he was the first one to actually attempt flight scientifically, and he was actually successful. The only thing he wasn't successful on was the landing. And those are just a few of the ways that the Moorish people completely changed Europe. But again, they don't want you to know that.
The images of black people in early Europe. Hieronymus Bosch, The Adoration of the Magi Epiphany, Netherlands, 1485 to 1500. Anonymous Portuguese artist, an 86 centimeters of polychrome stone carving of Saint Benedict of Palermo with flowers, Portugal, 1650s. Cameos featuring detailed profiles of black men and women in precious metals and jewels were popular in many European countries. The ones above date around 1600 to 1800. Some art historians relate the style above to depictions of the goddess Diane. Robert Home portrait of a Malay woman, England, 1770 to 1788, at the Royal College of Surgeons of England collection. Portrait of King Balthazar, one of the 3 Magi, and a servant. Fragment from an Adoration of the Magi, Netherlands, 1480, Rijksmuseum, Amsterdam. Discarding images. Amazon's Le Secret de l'Histoire Naturelle, France, 1480 to 1485. At the school of Francois de Troyes, you'll find a portrait of a mulatto aristocrat in armor. France, 1680 to 1730. Abraham Janssens, The Agrippine Sibyl, Netherlands, 1575. A sibyl is a kind of pagan prophetess. 12 sibyls of various origins were said to have foretold the coming of Christ. Stanislaw Samostrzelnik, Adoration of the Magi, Poland, 1539. The Image of the Black in Western Art Research Project and Photo Archive. Jasper Beck's Portrait of Don Miguel de Castro, Emissary of Congo, Netherlands, 1643. Magdeburg Cathedral, Statue of Saint Mauritius and Catherine, German, officially called the Cathedral of Saints Maurice and Catherine. Medieval stonework featuring Saint Maurice at Dom zu Magdeburg, Saint Mauritius and Catharina. A Young Black Man with a Bow, France, 1697 to 1700. Museum of Fine Arts, Dunkirk. Workshop of Jacob Cornelis van Oossanen, Adoration of the Magi, Detail, Netherlands, 1510 to 1515. Design for reliquary bust of Saint Maurice, Germany, 1525 to 1527. The Image of the Blacks in Western Art. Artist's name is John White Werewants, North Carolina, Algonquian, England, 1585 to 93. Drawing on paper in the British Library. Anonymous German artist, altarpiece with Saint Maurice, Germany, 1499. The Image of the Black in Western Art Research Project and Photo Archive. This was the coat of arms of Sardinia, Netherlands in 1390. King Pomaré I of Tahiti, England, 1777. Source: more on John Weber, more on King Pomaré I of Tahiti, Record 11 and Record 2. The artist's name is Geertgen tot Sint Jans. Portrait of the Adoration of the Magi, Detail, Netherlands, 1480. History of Proleus Royal, The Battle of Genghis Khan and Prester John, France, 1340. Illuminated manuscript, British Library, London. You can see the black armies on horses fighting Genghis Khan's army. The artist's name is Jacopo Lagozzi Barbari, depicting a Moorish man with a giraffe, Italy, 1580s. Statue of the Magus Balthazar, South Germany, 1300s, made with polychrome limewood sculpture at the Hunt Museum, Limerick. Portrait of a young woman from France, 1750 to 1799, St. Louis Art Museum. It's not known who created it, to exactly when, nor who is depicted in the artwork. What we can learn from it is still amazing.
On this day, in 1831, Nat Turner was hung, skinned, and dismembered. His skin was carved off of his body, boiled down into an oil, and that was used as medicinal tinctures and also as cooking grease. His limbs, fingers, extremities were taken home as trophies. And according to Reddit, some families actually still have a lot of heirlooms, and those heirlooms being actual human bones from hangings. So I'm pretty sure his bones are still floating around here. His shirt and pants and shoes with his blood on it was hung up in Virginia, Southampton, Virginia, to show other enslaved Africans that if they rebelled, this would happen to them. We don't talk nearly enough about what slavery means. We look at the word slavery, we hear the word slavery, and it's just like, oh, it was a period of time where people were, forced to work and they would get whipped. Whipped was the easiest punishment you can take. They skinned this man. They skinned this man. They would bury pregnant women, bury their stomach, create a hole big enough for their stomach to be in, and have them lay in it where their stomach is in this hole and whip the shit out of us. They would rape our men in front of us and our children. The Civil War, and I saw a video of a young man mentioning this. I'm so happy he said it, because this is the emphasis that I'm putting on Black history, is that it was not just something that, happened every here and there. This was a day of life. This was a day in the life of a slave during slavery. And slavery was not just an era or an occupation or something that just happened momentarily. No, that happened for 300 fucking years. And it's still going on today, of course, on a lighter scale, I guess you could say. But the fact that we think about slavery and we think like, they were just working and they would just get beat if they didn't work. They would get beat if they did work. On this day in 1831, Nat Turner was hung, skinned, dismembered, and left there to die. The rest of them, at least. Because he wanted better for his people. So instead of honoring your veterans, how about we honor Nat Turner as a veteran? This is coming from a veteran. Let's honor Nat Turner. Take a moment of silence.